What is a product that if people found out how it was made, they would stop buying it? Most low to mid-tier vodkas. I work at an industrial distillery where we make millions of gallons of very high purity ethanol from corn. We have customers in the beverage market that literally just dilute our product to 80 proof or so, run it through a filter, and bottle it to sell. Those customers sell their products from anywhere from $8.50+ for a liter. And you know what the main difference is? The more expensive vodka-ass bottle is fancier. It's almost all brand perception with these corn-based vodkas. Edit. My apologies. I didn't intend to be confusing. What I intend to convey is that a lot of vodkas are made from corn, and the actual alcohol is not made by the company on the label. They essentially operate as a packager. Some companies do more than others with this alcohol as far as processing it goes. So for me, that means that I don't typically buy corn vodka. Most cheap or expensive corn vodkas are very similar. I feel wheat, barley or potato-derived vodkas are usually better. I use the label low mid-tier because that is how I have the alcohol cabinets organized in the lab at work, which was dumb as that's not really a useful designation unless I name the brands we have in these groups, and I won't do that for business sake. All that being said, there is nothing wrong with corn vodka. If you like the taste, buy it. And not all corn vodkas are identical. After all, my company supplies much of it. I just don't want people to fall for the marketing shenanigans that some of these corn vodkas are special, handmade, etc. Certain signed artwork used to work at an art printing company that we did signature editions of certain pieces. Guess who did the signing? Me and some coworkers. We were all design and art majors, so they just had us learn all the artists' signatures. We even had machines that could mimic the signatures too. I wish I had a picture of the devices. They were pretty cool. It was in the fine print that we were doing it, and was approved by the artists. But I guarantee most people would never buy the prints if they knew the signatures were forged. So always read the fine print when buying items, especially special editions of stuff. This reminds me of a documentary series my dad once watched, Garlic. The garlic industry is a hell of a lot darker than most people would think. I don't remember everything, but apparently a lot of Chinese companies that sell to restaurants overseas use prison labor. These inmates have to peel the garlic completely by hand, no tools whatsoever. There were a few inmates missing fingernails. If I recall correctly, one man said that he had a friend who had to resort to using his teeth because he didn't have any nails left. They work unimaginably grueling shifts, in which they have to meet a quota for the day or face consequences. They get paid very little, if anything at all. They all seemed so miserable. The series is titled Rotten. You can find it on Netflix. Fresh juices are not so fresh apparently. A friend whose family owns mango orchard told me these companies buy the leftover stock that does not sell directly and leave the rest a strong artificial flavoring for uniform taste. In high school, the girls in my class were horrified to find out what their Uggs were made of. They had no idea. Oh god, I knew this girl who was like, "Oh no, you don't kill the sheep to make Uggs." And I was like, "No, you are thinking of, well, this is literally sheepskin, you have to kill it. You don't have to kill the sheep before you skin it. It just makes the skinning a lot easier." Reminds me of the girl at my high school who realized while eating chicken wings that they were in fact the wings of a dead chicken. I think she is still a vegan 15 years later. It was pure shock. I want to say sneakers by brands like Nike, who exploit, underpay and abuse their workers, but sadly most people already know how they are made and still buy them. Not really a product, but if people knew how much, and often people cut corners in construction, I think housing prices would go way down. I don't think I was ever on a job where a problem came up and people were like, "Okay, let's start over and do this right." Or, especially in bigger construction companies, how much time the employees waste to run the clock. Edit. Guys, trust me when I say I have put my sweat and blood into the industry. My hands are calloused. I am still working class, and it was not my intention to call out people that do this stuff as lazy or whatever else. Most people doing these jobs are extremely underpaid. And on top of being underpaid, they are putting their bodies and health on the line every single day. I almost lost a finger, twice. I have almost had a whole granite slab fall on me for $11 per hour. I probably would have died, and many more situations I won't get into. Don't take it out on the workers. Just try your best to work with a smaller company that isn't working 50 jobs at once and has a supervisor, owner around to watch what's going on. When you buy a used house, you would be shocked at the corners people cut to make them look sellable. I work at a home improvement retailer. They ask you how to do a project and then disregard what you say if they can do it easier, faster, or cheaper. I know the signs of budget flips and budget repairs now. Yeah, the house next to ours was bought by some flippers after the previous neighbor moved out because they got divorced. The flippers gutted the house and then found a really convenient place to dump the debris. The pool, they filled the pool with a bunch of junk, then covered it all up with dirt, put a layer of fresh sod on top and bordered it with pavers and flowers. It looked really nice at first, at least long enough to sell the house. Then a few months later everything started to settle. Reeves, they are not insulated fully, nothing is sealed correctly. All the electronics that are fancy and new are outdated and inefficient. The manufacturers use the cheapest materials possible and all Reeves are built in 8 hours. A vacation home, on wheels, in 8 hours. Chocolate produced by child labor. I once read a Twitter thread in Arab Twitter about this. It was widely retweeted. Some people were commenting that at least these children are working, even though the thread clearly pointed out these kids were kidnapped by Kikeo gangs, chased and killed if they tried to escape. Some people will not stop and will not care and will tell themselves lies and continue about their day. Truth is irrelevant. Coffee and cockroaches are linked in several ways. For those who don't know, this happens with coffee because the large piles of coffee beans get infested with cockroaches and, according to Emmeline, it is impossible to remove them completely, so they are simply ground up with the coffee beans. Baby powder. If only they knew where all the babies go. Seriously though, most baby powder is made with talcum, which is potentially carcinogenic since it works via breaking down into some of the finest pieces we can make, fine enough to cause problems for your cells. Use cornstarch. We have too much of it. It works by absorbing the moisture. The only caveat is that you have to make sure to shower if off of you regularly enough that it does not mold on you, but that should not be a problem for someone that showers at least once a week. I really don't think there is one. If it's because the ingredients or preparation are disgusting, I think most people are perfectly happy to keep using it because the finished product is fine. If it's a moral reason, I just don't think most people would care enough to stop using or eating whatever the product is. We have known for years that Air Jordans are being made with child labor in sweatshops, and sales have not dipped one bit due to that. And I don't say this as a cynic. I think we should work to improve conditions for all humanity, but the proportion of consumers who would be bothered enough to stop buying a thing is vanishingly small. Not exactly a product, but certain legal services. A lot of times lawyers are just filling in blanks from a template when drafting documents, and many problems can be resolved with a 2-minute online search, if you know where to look. If the public had the knowledge of and access to the resources available to lawyers, there is an awful lot people could figure out for themselves. Of course, that's not to say it's a good idea to DIY a legal matter if you don't know exactly what you are doing, just that the prices people pay for certain legal services are not commensurate with the amount of time and effort they actually take the lawyer to complete. Edit. I am a lawyer myself, and I will echo others' comments by saying that you can seriously screw yourself or your loved ones over by doing even something as simple as a will incorrectly. In matters above a certain level of complexity, it would be insane to even consider representing yourself. The point still remains that my clients might think twice about how much they paid me if they watched me draft their deed in 6 minutes while listening to a Let's Play in one earbud and browsing Reddit in another tab. People always point at Apple for exploiting Chinese labor, but don't realize that pretty much every company does the same thing, and most of them use the exact same factory as Apple. It's called Foxconn, not Apple. They make everything. Mirrors? It involves sending miners into deep Arctic caves to retrieve the element mercurium. It's a crystal in its natural state, and apparently you could make a 10-to-10 mirror out of just a pen tip sized amount. I am obviously making this up because I don't know how mirrors are made and they scare me. Diamonds. I remember seeing ads for chocolate diamonds. You know what chocolate diamonds used to be. The waste. An impure diamond that was not considered fit for sale. Until some evil genius at KHQ figured out that women are stereotyped as loving chocolate. So all they had to do was rebrand the garbage diamond as a chocolate diamond and jack that price way up. Hopefully one day we finally colonize that planet made entirely of diamond, so we can tell the diamond industry to go fuck itself. Both the producer and the consumer get screwed. Whole industry is a scam built on our perceived need to give loved ones gifts so that they will love us. Man-made diamonds are great. Also, there are so many diamonds in the world that they actually are not worth what we think they are. A $2,000 diamond is worth more like $50. The blood diamond monopoly has us all whipped. Buy them secondhand if you have to, or go man-made, but better yet get something else. My wedding ring is a sapphire and it's so much more interesting. A lot of butter, to be honest. They feed the cows literal garbage, and to get as much milk as possible, they take the cows' calves away. The cows cry for days afterward. I made it pretty far through this thread, but the crying cows is the end for me. Monster energy drinks. I have been to their bottling warehouse. I was in college with some guys who became chemists for them while I was working on my doctorate. Some defect in one of the machines caused a bunch of cans to leak. The wood pallets underneath disintegrated like wet paper. Further, the maintenance crew was on a cleaning rotation. They told me that the monster tanks do not get cleaned unless there is so much buildup that it changes the taste. This is because it is so caustic that bacteria and mold don't survive. Thanks for watching. Share your story in the comment.